And now. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Habatat Now. I'm super excited to have you all. We're going to start the presentation by showing a short video about the artist. They recently did a promotional piece for their location in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It is a great presentation, so I'm going to take control of your screens and share it with you right now. So please enjoy. I'm going to make sure my audio is set up for so you guys can hear everything too. So give me 1 second. Get that thing rolling. There is a button to share computer sound, and we are off and running. Here we go. Please enjoy.
Glass blowing itself is roughly, 2,000 to 3,000 years old. It's super elemental. We're dealing with fire, water, and you can see the material change right in front of your eyes. It's something that happens amazingly fast. It's such a challenging sculptural material to work with, and that's a big part of what draws, I think, both of us to glass blowing, is the difficulty of mastering it and the way that it presents an opportunity to sculpt.
The glass studio, because it's hot, it can get very challenging. Just being in front of that open-faced 2,300 degrees furnace with hot glass in your hand, and you have to keep it turning, rotating on center, and keep moving, keep heating, and keep shaping it.
The work is super physical. Getting in the studio, gathering in front of the heat, and the dance of moving around and shaping this object, that's basically 2,000 degree sand. The mastery of the material is evident in their product.
Even when we work all day, sometimes we just take the kayaks and get on the Kalamazoo River, just float down the river and breathe a little bit.
It's awesome to step out of the studio and then be able to jump on a river 5 minutes away.
I love the rivers around us and the hiking and walking. We have a dog, so he loves being outside. He loves the water, he loves swimming. We get on the river, he gets bored of looking at the, birds and ducks and stuff from the kayak. Jumps off, takes a little swim. And then when he's done, it's time to get on the kayak, so Josh grabs him and puts him on the kayak and he's back on.
In a studio where everything's fast-paced and happening now and working hard, I think getting out on the river, you are in the nature and away from the hustle and bustle, and it's that moment to take a breath and center yourself and
slow down.
Yeah, enjoy what's around you. Having stuff like this available is super important when we're making artwork. We take a lot of what we're surrounded by and we try to emulate and put in our artwork because it's something that's so incredibly beautiful. How could you not want to transfer that? It just seeps into your mind and you dream about it. It bleeds into all aspects of our making process.
Very, very fun. Thank you guys for sharing that video. And that was promotion for your work in the city of Kalamazoo. Is that what that was about?
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the project that we were working on there in the slideshow, and also as a kind of promotion for Kalamazoo, the city in general.
Very cool. All right, guys. So I'm going to give the artist.
You guys have been live. I've been watching you guys live on Facebook. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do that every Friday for Glass Kalamazoo for a few hours. Just keep the interaction going with our clients and customers, and we make some design projects during that live video. It's pretty fun.
That's excellent. Well, I'm going to give the artist the floor right now. I'm going to make them the presenter, and they're going to tell us a little bit about themselves and hopefully give us a little tour of their space. So let me figure out how to do that. Make host, and you guys should be off and running.
Well, yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll start with a little tour around our studio. Yeah.
If anybody wants to click on the 3 buttons by their name and pin the video, it makes their screen larger.
All right, so we're going to go over this way. Kind of show, you saw us a little bit in the video. This is part of our studio right here.
Josh, we're gonna have Ekin talk because she has to be in front of the computer to hear you.
Yeah. All right, I'm doing the talking. So this is our heart of our studio, he was saying, and we have to keep it on. And we're very lucky to keep it on during this time of this year especially. And we still keep making glass here. Over this way is our setup. You're not hot today? Yes.
Hey, Josh, keep her in frame. We can't hear her without her being in front of the camera. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe we'll do this.
Yeah. How about this one?
So
This is perfect.
Yeah. Bench setup.
Got it?
general main area. So we will go to the cold shop next.
So yeah, follow us through our space. Sorry for the bounciness.
This is a big
So,
space. Wow. This is
Yeah,
very-
it is. It's an awesome space. We do a lot of events in here. And then every first Friday of the month, we have what we call an art hop, where we invite everyone from the community to kind of join us for demonstrations.
Josh and I built this cold shop for Glass48 Kalamazoo a year ago, and during this time we are the only ones using, but we normally often teach in the studio.
You guys said you teach there in the studio?
Yes, we do in the cold shop and every studio we have. We have some ready to go material on our table. The one that Josh was holding was one of our newest blanks. It's going to be a cityscape soon. This is the one that we roughly chopped already. So this is what it looks like before we detail chop them. You can show them the white one more time. This is what it looks like before we chop it. It's all around. Turn it.
Yeah. So
Like
it's
bubble.
basically a blown form.
Yeah, we call it maybe sometimes like a lollipop if the people are watching but don't know what we're making.
Are they notched on a saw? That's how you do them?
Yes.
Very, very nice.
Wow.
David, or Joshua, I see the different colors from the exterior to the interior in that piece. Can you
Yes, this one is inside transparent, and we have a powder coat outside of it that's opaque.
that makes a lot of sense.
We had this opaque play with a few other pieces like the Arkham has.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about process in our slideshow as well.
Yeah. This looks like the saw.
Diamond saw?
That looks like a mean saw.
We could show you, do some demonstrations for you guys, but it would be super loud to watch that.
We'll definitely pass on that. We can
Yeah.
check the videos on glass48.com.
Is your studio usually this clean, or did you guys clean up for us?
This is a public space, so we do keep it pretty clean year round. We did clean it for you guys for today.
We can show them the prep mess table.
So we spend a lot of time in the hot shop for the prep of these pieces, and lots of our thinking and planning happens on these tables.
Yeah, so these are again how we apply our color in different layers throughout the glass. So we were talking about the interior of that piece having a different color than the exterior. So we build up our layers through different cups. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that process as we go forward.
Very cool.
All right, so our main space, this is a pretty large space. We share it again. We are the main resident artists in this space, but we do teach and we do manage the classes and marketing, programming kind of stuff of this place too. It's not this empty usually. And this is our gallery space. Artists to this gallery to show their work here, but we kept it open for today so we can show you some of our finished pieces. We will show you guys better pictures.
We missed what you said there. What did you say again?
We will be able to show pictures of these images or the pieces later on our presentation. So if they don't look very well, that's fine.
Also, we'll come back later.
Also, yeah, after the presentation, we can come back and look at them one more time.
So we'll give a quick walk through.
Very cool. Very cool.
Whoa.
Nice little display space you have. You guys can see on these pieces the bases too in the photos they're taking. You can see how the base stands on the actual pedestal. So, Josh, will you show us like a side view of a base of a piece, just so people can get an idea of the actual? There you go. Now you can completely understand how it stands from the actual lollipop form carved down to the actual form. It's quite brilliant and able to maintain its own stability, having a very importantly designed base. It's great.
But there's definitely a top and definitely a bottom.
Right.
Yeah. Which is a lot less confusing than a Marvin Lepovsky. Is that correct?
Very cool.
No front or back, but there's a base for sure.
Two faces. They can't hear me.
Great, guys. Well, this is a beautiful space you guys have here. It's amazing. So you guys said you have events here too.
We do.
Yes, we do. We do a lot of ticketed events.
We'll talk about it.
We will talk about it
Sure.
a little bit more, but we can do our presentation.
Yeah, let's line up and get the slideshow going.
How many square feet is the studio?
Say that again?
How many square feet is the studio?
I think about 7,200.
Wow, it's huge.
Yeah, so we have some offices in the back, and then there were a couple other studios. We also have a lamp working setup with 12 torches where we teach as well. Not Ekin and I, but we have other instructors. And then we have a kiln fusing space as well.
Are you guys going to cover a little bit of the glass community?
Nice.
It sounds like there's a lot of people that are doing.
You know, we have a small group of hobbyists and professionals that are here, and then we serve. So the majority of our classes are to very beginners, and we're just kind of, I guess, introducing the community at large to glass and glass art.
That's really great. How far from downtown Kalamazoo are you guys?
We're in downtown.
Downtown.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yes. This is it's in a large
Industrial building.
yeah, called Parks Trade Center. It's pretty
Very
nice.
cool.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into our slide show. We'll talk a little bit about ourselves and how we ended up here, and then we'll talk about the studio a little bit, and then we're kind of segue into our works.
That's great, guys. Go ahead and get your PowerPoint and share your screen. We're all ready to go. Perfect. Choose. There you go.
Big. All right.
All right, everybody can see this?
Yeah, we're looking at your title screen. Collective.
Here we go. So the two of us met in Novi Bor, Czech Republic in 2012. We were there for the International Glass Symposium for different reasons, but we sort of started connecting at that point. And
We met. Oh, you were gonna tell them.
no. So yeah, it was a really packed weekend, and we made, I think, a connection that we just sort of kept up. And I went back home I was living in Texas at the time, and she stayed there for school. And then a year later, we ended up re-meeting again at the glass furnace in Istanbul, Turkey. I was there for classes and actually working at the studio there.
I did work for them for a year, and then in the summer times they do big long-term classes, just like Pilchak. We get to bring a bunch of artists and assist them, hang out, and take classes. So I was one of the assistants and office workers at that summer. And Yanush was there, Chad Holiday was there, Josh was there. it was a lot of fun.
And then, so we really connected. I was there for a longer time, and I convinced her for somehow that she should come to Texas and go to grad school. So I was finishing up my master's degree there when she sort of came down, and immediately we started working together. She was helping me make some work for my graduate exhibition. This is kind of my first foray into cityscapes. These are hot poured glass castings that I just sort of arranged into cityscapes on a background of kind of like a nice fiery sunset.
Wow, those are big.
They're on a mirror.
Those are.
I think the tallest is probably about 2 feet.
And they're individual standing glass pieces on a mirror.
The panels themselves are 4x8.
And those are glass panels or not
Those
glass?
are-
Those are painted?
Those are painted plywood, basically airbrushed, and then with some pyrography burned with glass on top of it. And then this is a work that Ekin did in grad school.
So when I, in my second year, I want to say I started playing with the glass a little more bravely, and I started casting. This is a pretty large piece of glass that I cast 2 times in clear glass, and then I painted it. So there was a special paint that we were experimenting with our friend. It's a car paint. It's a transparent, really glossy paint that I airbrushed this glass with. This was an idea of 360 fisheye sky view with them.
And that's going to be important as we move into our next step. So when she got to Texas, we were in Amarillo. There's not really a whole lot there. So I had to take her on a trip and show her a little bit more of the United States. So we went on a road trip from North Texas all the way out west and up the coast up to Washington. You can see on the right there, we're in Whidbey Island in Katrina Hoodie's studio.
This is how he convinced me that I could stay in the United States with him.
The following year, while we were down in Texas, Laura Donifer, who most of you know, or at least know of, she was a visiting artist, teaching artist there at the university. And during our time there, or her time there, we had decided to get married. And she asked, oh, can I come? I want to be there. And we said, we can do you one better. We'd like you to be our officiant. So yeah, Laura actually got her minister's license.
Like, that night, she got it online, and next day we made her marry us. It was pretty fun.
That's so great.
So we did have a video of that, but our video's acting a little bit choppy, so we're gonna have to skip that, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. This is kind of our reception after we were married. We decided that grad school was not really taking us the direction we wanted to go, and Texas itself was, or not Texas, but Amarillo, the city, just we didn't have the opportunities that we were looking for. So we decided to move, and we ended up in northern Indiana. And this is photos from, on the left, our wedding reception with my family in Cedar Lake. And then a couple months later, we were in Ekin's hometown of Akçay, Turkey.
For our reception, wedding with our families, or celebration.
Yeah.
In 2016, we met the folks who used to run Glass Art Kalamazoo, the executive director and the studio manager at the time. We met them during SOFA, actually, on the stage when I was assisting Laura Donifer on the stage, blowing glass. We met them during that time, and they offered to come by and start renting. You know, we can meet and start a relationship. But we ended up actually moving to Kalamazoo and taking the job and being part of this community.
This is a big part of what we do, or what we like to do, is teaching, and definitely being a part of a nonprofit is that. So this is actually at another school or nonprofit organization in Benton Harbor, Michigan, which is about 40 minutes west of us. This is the last day of class. We did funny hats and glass Olympics.
Those are our students.
You guys look good. You got, I like the look.
Yeah. And we teach summer camps at Glass Zoo. This is one of the funnest moments. We do at the end of the summer camp, we compete, make the kids compete. So for this year, we dressed up. We told the kids to dress up like them, like 90s too, but we ended up, you can see who's having the most fun. We ended up being super having fun that day.
So, you know, a big part of what we do here, outside of the sculpture work that Ekin and I work on, is we share glass with the community. You know, I think arts are incredibly valuable generally, and glass art itself is a really amazing medium. And just introducing a larger audience to the things that we're doing is super important to the mission of this nonprofit and Ekin and I personally. So these are some images of some performances or demonstrations that we've done here over the years. On the left, we're making Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbuster costume. And then we've got some other fun stuff here.
Fire.
That is a great puff, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I hope you guys still have it.
This is over at Water Street again. They're great folks, and we love getting over and, again, kind of building the community or being a part of their community as much as ours. So we do go there and play with glass quite a bit.
And we bought a house in Kalamazoo 3 years ago. And this is what I wanted to show you guys this because we worked on the house a little bit, so we're pretty pumped about it.
Yeah,
and then you saw Lino in our video. This is the newest addition to our glass blowing team, the young Jax. So we did shamelessly name our first boy Lino after the great, and then our second boy is named after our favorite tool. All right.
Let's talk some work.
So yeah, part of what we do here, again, we're studio managers. So we manage the classes, teaching, maintenance, and all that stuff in the studio. But we're also resident artists. So that means we get time included in our days to work on our artwork. So when we first got in, we started making these jewel bottles for our first residency show, kind of really diving into our color palette and then the setup itself. Rather than just taking a single bottle at a time, we really thought sculpturally about it. We wanted to include
played with the space and light and color, transparency. You can see these elements in our art in cityscapes too. We do like the color combinations and playing with transparency, light and glass.
And also some other techniques, you know, Italian techniques with cane and Marini. You can see in the background of some of these, there's some pyrography.
And we do go back ones. We do still do this too, the surface work. So we do play with the softness of the light on the surface of the glass. You can see some of the pieces, some of the parts of the pieces are sandblasted, just like we do right now on our cityscapes. And we do surface work on the these pieces too. There's some texture.
Yeah.
These are totally different.
Yeah, a little bit different, but still stuff that kind of lends itself to what we're doing now. Yeah, we're talking about repetition and how glass or how light actually interacts with the material.
And patterns. And those are solid pieces that we make in the hot shop, and yeah.
All right, so in the opening video, you saw us making some leaves. This is a chandelier project we are involved in with Western Michigan Medical School, which has a campus just a couple blocks away from us. And this is a tree sort of commemorating all the individuals who have donated their remains to the program for medical students to sort of study. Yeah. So this is the first kind of installation. The program had been going for 5 years, so we have 5 branches. And then we're sort of scheduled to build into it for the next 15, basically. So every year there's a new donor class, and eventually the whole ceiling and wall will be this kind of large canopy of leaves and branches.
This is the final install location, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
this
that's
is
great.
where it is. It is 12 feet long. The trunk is 12 feet tall. And it starts from the second floor. So you see this project from on the left picture. It is where the angle is. You see it from the ground. And then you can actually go to the second floor and view it from the stairs.
Second floor, yeah.
Second floor.
The tree trunk is a
Alright,
bunch of
so-
the tree trunk is a bunch of individual pieces too.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so they're solid ribbon type of forms that we attached each other together on a cage.
Yeah.
Structural, and branches are metal too, and we attach those glass leaves onto the metal branch.
Thank you.
We added another branch this year already.
Last year, actually.
Last year.
Yeah. So in 2019, we were sort of invited to do a show or show some work at Southwest Michigan College, which is in Dowagiac, again, another 40 minutes away from us. And this was kind of really where we started making what become the cityscapes. So this is kind of the fractal pieces revisited. These were all, instead of being glued together, they were all attached hot. Here's some cityscape pyrographs. Again, all these marks are made with burned glass or torches.
Going back to Josh's graduation experiment, finalizing.
So I wanted to show, kind of revisit these. So again, in the graduate school, I was doing cityscapes, and then Ekin had this idea of this sort of 360 degree fisheye viewing of these landscapes. And these are things, you know, that we had talked about and been working through for years, you know, but we never really found something that worked or that was, you know, visually compelling and that really captured our ideas until we
Started putting them together.
yeah. And this is really the start of our collaborative work in these cityscapes.
All right, let's talk about how we make these things. So, like everything, it starts with a molten material, very what we have in the furnace, and some color. So we build our color scale, and then we start designing our set of objects, and we melt it. When we get in the hot shop, we melt those rods of color, pick them up on our bubbles, and blow them into stuff cups. Like the ones on the bottom here, you see the transparent, smaller stuff cups that we use all the way inside, in the inside of the piece. Sometimes we layer them up, so there's more than 2-3 colors. Sometimes there's only 2 colors fading into each other. Depends on where we're going with these. But in the picture on the top, you can see how we shape them.
So this might be a copy, but
Let's give it a
it
try.
sort of gives it a look. We're sort of dropping the glass into the cup.
And
Again,
there are a few cups that small ones goes first, and we go into the larger ones for that very outside layer of the glass. Like this one is a new one that we've not seen. You have not seen yet. There's some cane pattern on the very outside of this cup, so that will stay in the glass.
yeah, and again, this allows us to add color in various levels throughout the glass, which becomes super exciting when we then cut back through and reveal different layers. And, all right, this is once we've stuffed the cups, we then blow them up. I mean, they're relatively thick, so we can really increase the scale of them. We blow them into a big sphere, basically, and then flatten.
If we can see any of this video, it's showing how we flatten those round bubbles, basically.
And then we end up with that lollipop, that big lollipop there on the right.
And we take this anneal and start playing on it in the cold shop. So on the left, those two blanks, the picture just was right out of the annealer, and then we took them to the cold shop, start planning our design on it. The video in the middle is not gonna work, so it's showing how we cut the edges of these cityscape patterns.
Yeah, so everything is hand cut and hand done here. And you can really see the nice finished lines and details there on the right.
Amazing, amazing.
How long does it take?
Those are all that's a good question. You know, it's tough. So we work on several at a time because there's the two of us, and we try to get through and have a kind of backlog of stuff. So I think the initial chopping process, we do two different chopping processes. When we're at this blank stage, I kind of pick them up, I design where the bands are going, and I rough chop everything in, which kind of showed you in the cold chop. And that takes probably several hours, but it's pretty strenuous on the back, so you don't want to do too much at one time. And then once that's finished, turn it over to Ekin, where she kind of goes in and really finds out those details and makes those cityscapes come to life. And that, you know, that process, just because it's so minute and fine, it does take quite a bit longer.
After that, actually, we take these pieces and bevel the edges of those cuts so there's no chips. So basically, when it's 90 degrees, we cut another angle to that corner of that 90 to make it softer and nicer at the edges.
And that's, you know, several days, weeks.
How do you all on the one saw, or you use a Fordham tool or something with diamond bits?
We use Dremel with diamond bits.
Yeah. How do you hollow out the inside?
Well, it's because when we're blowing glass, it's a bubble, so the inside is already hollow. So we start with a basically bubble of clear glass and then inflate that thing to this size. So there's always an interior and an exterior.
So it's a hollow piece.
Yeah, and then when we cut it, it just reveals everything underneath.
Imagine you're blowing up a balloon and flattening it. They're doing the same thing with glass.
Exactly.
And there's some.
So once we cut, then it's time to kind of design, and this is where we really start to play with all those colors that we've added in the process by, you know, building up these designs and patterns and cityscapes, and then sandblasting them. We remove bits of the surface so it reveals the colors underneath, or it allows the colors on the top to really stand out. And there's so much interplay between the texture of the glass and the way that it again is interacting with light.
This takes days and days of work as well.
Months.
So then you dip them in acid or something to clean them up?
It's actually sandblasted, so we use a silica carbide in a sandblasting cabinet pressure pot system, and we just sort of blast until we
remove the material that's not masked with the tape we have.
Use silicon carbide instead of aluminum oxide?
We do, yeah.
Huh.
So this kind of leads us to some available works that we have. When we first showed with Habatat in Florida, the series that we brought, or that Aaron had us bring, was called Cityscapes Strings Between Us. And this one was in the gallery. I don't know if you guys clocked it when we were walking through, but it's El Dorado, and this is one of the very first in our series of new cityscapes. So this is a gold topaz with a little bit of copper ruby to give it some more depth. And once it's in the light, this thing really feels so
It's
warm.
very
and-
sunny.
Yeah.
You can see the two sides, two faces of this piece in each picture. And it's quite large too. And then this is another one, Atlantis. This is in that series as well. These two are the only ones.
No.
No. Oh, the far, far away too.
Now, where's the moil? It's on the back side?
So the moil ends up getting chopped out.
I mean, where's the blowhole?
There is none right now. So where we chop, it could be up in the top left where the cityscape is. So we get rid of it and we kind of deconstruct our bubble.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
You guys already have an idea where the base is going to be?
Yeah,
We keep that part thicker in the construction of the blowing of the piece, and but the planning starts in the very early stages for sure.
So both El Dorado and Atlantis are kind of monochromatic or at least analog. So we're using lots of similar colors and then really relying on the sandblasting to sort of help those cityscapes stand out. And then with this piece here, it's super unique. So we did some powder work on the surface, and it sends this really nice diagonal band of purple and blues across the surface of the piece, which kind of remind us of a kind of the arm of a galaxy. And then also what makes this piece unique is we treated the interior surface a lot like we did the exterior surface. So you can see in the photos here, along like the bottom right side, there's that really bright, opaque, blue-green that sort of sets off against the dark surface. And we really, really enjoy that.
In the light, it's pretty powerful.
Tempest is a newer one, still in the same series. We're again kind of starting to play a little bit more with the patterns of the cities, and then patterns in general, and kind of playing with how those patterns are different on each side, but still the same.
And incorporating that with our cityscape patterns. So we're going into more what we have been doing lately.
Beautiful piece.
That's awesome.
And this is one of our favorites, as the other ones, but this one was going to be a whole different piece and be acted pretty quickly in the making in the hot shop stage and turn it into a whole different piece. And sometimes you have to let the accidents, but
so backstory, this was one of the very few pieces made actually at the Flint Institute of Arts. So at the time, our equipment here kind of limits the scale that we can achieve. So we definitely wanted to get out and see what we could do if we could make it a little bit larger. So we rented a bit of time over there at the Flint Institute of Arts and made some little bit larger pieces. And actually, one of the pieces we were doing, I completely messed up. So I ruined the stuff, and we had to throw away, probably hundreds of dollars worth of color. So we still had about an hour of time left, and we couldn't waste it. So we jumped in, and we ended up making this piece, and we used all powder. So the interior is done with powder, and then we have a strong layer of powder on the exterior. And I think it really makes this piece super, super light and airy, and I really enjoy what happened. It's again, happy accident. I'm glad that we were able to do this one.
It looks like the facade was airbrushed, which is interesting because that's where you both worked in apparently a few years ago in airbrushing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
All right. So that whole series for us is kind of like a survey of techniques and ideas, and I guess kind of building our mythology that we like to imbue into the pieces. And it's kind of led us to where we are now. And we're super happy to kind of debut this new line or new series of cityscapes with you guys today. We have two. And again, this is a video that we're not going to show, but it is available. You can see that video on our Glass48 page. But anyway, this is a piece we called Flora.
Wow.
We talked about, or in the video that we started this presentation with, we talked a little bit about nature and its influence on us. And so the color itself is very kind of lush and green, like our summers here. And the pattern itself is, again, very kind of plant-like and natural.
Well, we made this at the beginning of summer in Michigan.
Yeah, and so we're calling this series Transparencies because we're really working hard to preserve the natural transparency of glass and let these patterns and designs that we're etching into the glass really sort of interact with each other. And you can see on the photo on the right, all the patterning that you do see is actually the pattern that's on the backside. So it's shining through and catching on the surface.
With your little bit of movement right to left, looking at this piece, it moves, it changes your whole view every single second. That's incredible.
And the second piece, this one I don't think is up on the website Glass48 yet, but we're going to put it up today. This is called Labyrinth. It's a little bit larger, really, really incredible colors, and the pattern and interaction between the two surfaces is just, for us at least, I mean, really incredible.
Beautiful. Looks familiar.
And there's more to come.
Yeah, so we are at this point working on a digital catalog. Again, we've been lucky to be hot this whole time, so we've been working really hard on the Transparency series and a couple other ideas that we're going to do on that digital catalog. And then that's kind of the end of our presentation, but we would like to leave you with one little thing we found super apt when we were down in Florida for Splash with Habatat. We did a tour of the Dali Museum, and this quote just sort of jumped out at us from the wall.
We both couldn't leave it for a while, and it's
so we found it super apt for the way that we're making and for some of our ideas about architecture.
all right.
That's wonderful.
That's great, guys.
So we're gonna stop the screen sharing, and then we're gonna hand it back over to Aaron.
Well, let's not do that yet. We're going to have questions, guys, in case anybody has any questions. I'm just going to, no worries, I'm going to pop back. I'm going to mute everybody real quick because I'm hearing something. I'm not sure where that's coming from. I'm going to try to mute everybody again and see if I can figure that out. Unmute both here. All right, guys, if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself right now and ask away. I think that presentation was fantastic. I really got an understanding of how your two unique sides became one, and it's really, really great to get that because I didn't know that until right now. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for listening us.
Yeah,
it was very, very important for us to be able to communicate with you guys not in person, but this fixes all.
Definitely, this is the best we could do in the year 2020, and I'm happy that everybody can join us. We had over 50 people join us today for this presentation, which is a record. I'm super excited about the fact that people were here to see this and get a glimpse of your work. And like I said, there's more videos on their work at glass48.com under their names, under Ekin and Josh's name. So make sure to check those out, and I look forward to working with them in the future on their digital catalog and showing you guys more of what they're doing. But if you have any questions, this would be the time, or else it was great seeing everybody.
I have a question, Aaron. Oh,
No, you go.
It's necklace.
When you're making a piece, do you consider one side the front and one side the back or reverse, or do you like both sides equally?
we definitely like both sides equally. We say that the pieces have two faces. And I think we really enjoy, again, the interaction between, or at least playing with how they change from one to the other. So it really allows us that sort of double canvas to kind of put a lot of detail and information in.
Thank you.
Hi guys.
Samantha.
Hi. You can actually really see that too when you're like in person with their pieces and you're walking around the entirety of it. You can definitely see that the backside and the front side, you know, have its own space. But I want to know how you guys go about choosing your colors, especially for the more like cityscape where it was like the El Dorado and things. Is it because it's just the feeling of this space that you're trying to create, or is it just aesthetically, or is it kind of intuitively? Like, do you guys have a certain way that you choose your colors for your pieces?
I think everything you said. So we do. It's very exciting to play with colors for us. So more different and more challenging is better to play with. But there's definitely
Yeah. Well, and I think also, you know, when we start and we're thinking about colors, we're looking at how things work together, you know, color theory wise on the color wheel, but also colors in glass that we've worked with that we enjoy and how they interact with light in our gallery space or how they've
in a light.
Yeah, really been important to us. And then once we sort of have that blank, we're seeing how those colors are working together, that sort of starts to influence and push our designs in the cityscape and how we're again cutting them down and
finishing
them up.
That's great. Any other questions, guys, or we're going to call it? I appreciate everybody coming in today and enjoying this presentation. Ekin and Josh, thank you again for having us all, and look forward to seeing what comes out of your giant studio very soon.
Thank you for joining us.
You guys are doing great work.
Great, they can go take some lessons for them. It sounds great.
That was wonderful.
Great, guys. Well, thanks for everybody. I hope everybody enjoys their day, and thank you for joining us. We're about 48 minutes in, so this is great. Thanks again.
Good job, Aaron.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
That was brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
And that's the end.